So, a chipmunk walks into a bar.
Tovarish TV. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Tovarish TV. For those of you who don't know, my name's Tyler. Today I went to work and it was kind of lame. I had these customers. Okay, so we have a rule where we're not allowed to charge gratuity unless it's a really big party that calls in ahead of time and we tell them. And the reason for this is because we don't have the rule about gratuity printed on our menus because we're a new restaurant and they didn't do that when they opened. So we kind of get like legally screwed out of it. We can't do it because we don't have it in writing, and even if we went to the table and like said it ahead of time, that wouldn't be good enough because like I guess we're not allowed to tell people. I don't know, there's good reason for it, who knows why, but I had a bunch of big tables that just didn't leave very good tips. That's what happens on this island, you know. The tourists, they come here, and if they plan on eating out every night or once every day or even once every other day, and they're here for a week, they don't really have money to be, you know, especially in this economy. It used to not be so bad, but they don't have money to come here and spend all that money on food and then tip 20%. And it's just pretty lame that, you know, that people like me get screwed out of that money just because these people don't really think it through or don't really think that it matters. If you're a person who doesn't tip very well, I know Europe is a little bit different about it, so if you're European, you can probably ignore what I'm saying. But if you live in America, you should tip people 20%, unless, of course, the service was bad. If the service was good, if you can say that you enjoyed your experience, you should leave 20%. If you can say that everything was good, but a couple things weren't how you would want them, you can tip 18%. If everything sucked, you can leave 5 to 10, or nothing at all. You know, if it was terrible, then you get a manager, and that's a different situation. That's got nothing to do with it. But crazy bug. But if everything goes well, you should tip 20%, or at least 18. 18 is the rule of thumb. 20% is what would be considered a good tip. Some things to take into account. Here's a little background information on the service industry or the restaurant business. For those of you who don't know, for anybody who's never met anybody or themselves worked in food and beverage, the server should probably be at the table within 45 seconds of you sitting down. And when they deliver your food, they should be back within 2 minutes to make sure that everything's okay. So those are the kinds of things that you can watch for if you're one of those people who don't really know how much you should be tipping. That would be things to judge it on. And another thing, sometimes things just go wrong at a restaurant, like with the kitchen, stuff like that. It's not always your server's fault. Don't think that you should tip less because like something came out cold. See, because it's the expo's job to make sure that all the food before it gets sold is, you know, to be good looking and to be hot and whatever, however it's supposed to be. But, you know, if it's not so busy, there's maybe not an expo working, and frankly, the kitchen puts up the food and it's hot then, but if the hot plate's not on, like, it's not their job to really make sure everything's working, and it's not really our job to make sure everything's working. It's kind of like if food comes up and it's hot and it sits there for a minute, and then I bring it to you and it's cold, that's not my fault. Like, we're not supposed to be touching your food to check that it's hot. Like, sure, we do sometimes, you want to make sure. But if there's no real reasonable doubt before I pick up that pizza or that cheeseburger or whatever to believe that it's cold, I'm not going to feel it. So if I bring it to you and it's cold, let me know and I'll take it back, and within 45 seconds I'll have it hot and then I'll bring it back. But that shouldn't be something that you don't tip because of. Like, stuff like that just, it drives me nuts. A lot of times it's just because people don't know. People don't know this kind of stuff. But yeah, you know, if your server's not showing up when you need them, that's bad service. Like, that's our job. We should be there. And frankly, if a restaurant's busy, they're going to have a better staff. So it's actually easier to serve the busier it gets, because if it's slow, but we have to do everything, bus our tables, make sure the food's the way it's supposed to be, run our food, get to the front of the door and make sure people are sat, like, that makes our job extremely stressful. And that's another thing to understand. Like, sometimes patience is necessary and people just don't have it. Have patience. Like, unless you can tell the restaurant's empty and that your waiter's just like an asshole and not paying any attention to you, if it's like slamming, then, you know, you should understand that something probably came up with another table. It's not that your server's like off doing other things and not thinking about you. It's that, like, somebody dropped their pizza on the floor, or, you know, like a cleanup in aisle 7 type thing, you know what I mean? Chances are something happened, so just keep that in mind. I don't know, it just bugs me that people are uneducated about it, and so they don't really know what to do. Then they end up screwing the server because they just don't know, and it's not really their fault. Sometimes it can be their fault. I mean, if you're an asshole and you just don't tip people, that's wrong. I mean, that's what we pay our rent with. But, I don't know. Now I'm just venting, so I'm going to stop. Final Cut Pro. So yesterday, I go to export the video that I shot, which, by the way, I apologize. Yesterday's video was actually uploaded this morning because I had to compress it overnight. What happened was I exported the video flat out to a video file, just into a folder, and when it asked me what format I wanted to do it in, I guess this program is literally designed for, like, filmmakers and filmmakers only, because there was no, like, MPEG-4 option or, like, AAC option. It was like HD, HD, HD. So I just picked, like, the thing, and it was all, like, coded. It was all, like, HD, number, letter, number, 4, 6, bracket, like, I didn't know what any of it meant. So I just picked one that was like HD, TV, something. I was like, that sounds like a usable file. So I picked it, and I waited for this whole thing to compress, or for it to export. And I'm waiting, like, serious time is going by, like hours. And finally this video finishes, and I go to watch it to make sure everything's fine, and the video's like cutting out and being slow and freezing and like all this weird shit's going on with it. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense, because if I would backtrack a little bit and it would start playing again, it would play fine. So I knew the file wasn't broken, because the segments that would freeze, I could go back and they would be okay. So I go to get info on the Mac, and the file was 7 gigabytes, and it was a 6.5 minute video, which means that I exported it at like 50-inch movie screen quality. This little video, I mean, I have other movies on my computer that are like kind of low quality, but they're full-length movies, like 2-hour movies, feature films, and they're only about, they range between 2 and 6 gigs. And this was a 6-minute file that was 6.95 gigabytes. So that was an issue. Obviously I couldn't upload 7 gigs of a 6-minute video to YouTube, and that really just wasted so much time for me. So then I realized that to get the video file in a proper file, like, Final Cut Pro has an option to just upload straight to YouTube. So I was like, cool, that sounds like the best option. So it wanted you to fill everything out, like the tag, description, all that good stuff, and then put in your account name and your password. So I did that. Well, I don't log into YouTube, it just auto-logs in, and it's attached to my Gmail account, so I didn't realize that, like, it wasn't my universal password that I used for my account, it was my Gmail password. My email's separate from, like, my universal for everything else, and, like, games and stuff. And, yeah, it started uploading, and, it stopped at, like, 75%, which was after, like, 50 minutes, and said that my YouTube password was wrong. So I was like, okay, well, why would it upload so long before I realized that my password was wrong? But then I went in and I entered the right password, and it just kept taking too long, so I canceled it. And then I was like, how can I get this to work? Because I kept getting these errors, like send a compressor, and it would say you don't have compressor installed. Well, compressor is an app that is linked with Final Cut Pro X, but it's also its own program, and it just compresses files for you, and it works with Final Cut Pro extremely well. It's what it's kind of designed for. So I went and I got that, and sent the file over to compressor, tried to compress it, just YouTube quality, but not straight to YouTube, to my desktop, and that took forever. And then I realized it's because the file format was too big, even still, which is just ridiculous. And then I went back, I did it like 6 more times, and then the program stopped working, and I got pissed because I wanted to play video games on my computer, and I just got really frustrated. I had spent like, 6 hours on this one 6-minute video, and it just wasn't worth it to me anymore. So when I was ready to go to sleep, I put it on the smallest file size I could find, and I let it compress overnight. It took about an hour and a half to make a 48 megabyte file that only took like 6 minutes to upload. So I don't know what's going on, but I'm gonna struggle with this video, and see if I can find a faster way to do this. But yeah, that's everything I had to talk about, guys. Remember to subscribe and hit that like button, because puppies are cool. And yeah, I'll see you later. Oh, real quick, one last thing. I know this video is totally dragging on now, but my grandma and her friend own that wedding business that you guys saw yesterday, and we were talking, and I think it's a really good idea for like a comedy channel to follow them around and videotape them getting flustered over wedding flowers, and edit it and put it on YouTube. So that sounds like a pretty cool idea. Tomorrow they're doing a wedding and I'm off, so I'm gonna see if I can make that work. But I'll let you guys know more on that when it happens, and I'll see you later.